Hi, New Rules. Welcome to Morning Cuppa podcast. Thank you so much for coming on today.
Of course, thank you for having us.
Hello.
No worries. So at first, if you could all introduce yourselves individually so we can assign a name to the voice.
Okay, hi, I'm Ryan.
Hey, I'm Alec.
Hello, I'm Nathan.
Hello. So I
I was thinking about doing like a ridiculous voice, but my better judgment.
Yeah, but you couldn't hold it up for the whole podcast. That would be quite hard. But
Good. I probably could actually.
You could.
Don't put it on.
Challenge accepted. No. So I had so many questions from your fans, guys. You've got such a loyal fan base, which must be so humbling. So I've tried to weave all their questions in as much as I can. And we actually had a lot of questions about how you guys started, so where you came from. And I know that Instagram was involved, but if one of you would like to elaborate on that.
Instagram was involved. YouTube was also involved. So I'd been in a band before, 4 New Rules. And
Don't tell her the name.
we were called Shades.
Nice.
Yeah, pretty
Sweet name.
Yeah, thanks. And when my band broke up, I basically just went looking online for people who might want to write songs with me. And through that, I found Alec on Instagram. He was doing a cover, Ben Howard one, wasn't it? I think
It was the script one.
it was a script actually. There was a couple up on there.
Yeah.
There was a script one that was the kicker. And then a video of Ryan on YouTube, and I didn't know he was in Dublin at the time. But I dropped him all a message and said, "Do you guys want to meet up over a weekend and write some songs?" And they both said yes. Then
You're like the puppet master. You're the one that got the band together.
Exactly it.
So if everything goes well, it's all up to you. And if it goes wrong, it's down to you.
Yeah.
It's all on you. So what were your first impressions of each other then?
Oh, it's weird actually. You know, like I think we got on really well. We kind of bonded over a lot of music that we all like. I think John Mayer was a big one at the start. We like
That was the glue.
yeah, we kind of like the first time we met, we were kind of like we were playing some songs and we were just like jamming or whatever. But then we kind of put some songs on speaker or whatever, and it was like John Mayer, and then we were all like. When Nathan and Alex said they like John Mayer, I was like, okay, I can be in a band with these people.
So you wasn't like, oh, this guy's a bit weird. He's a bit keen.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. But that was it. I mean, we all got on quite well. Yeah, we still do.
Well, obviously. So was there can you think of a specific moment when it clicked, when you were like, this is going to work, we're going to be a band?
It was I think one of the first times we wrote together, we ended up writing Mountains, which was our third release. And so I think that was kind of
like the first two songs.
Yeah, the first two.
First two songs we wrote ended up being like releases. Like we wrote loads of songs after them, but we kind of kept coming back to those songs. And so like they felt great from the second we wrote them. So we're kind of like, yeah, when we heard them come back, we're like, ooh,
amazing. Great. It just captured that energy then. It captured that moment.
Mm-hmm.
That's sick. So you guys you've gone to success quite quickly. Like, didn't you get together was it 2017 you got together?
2018.
And like we're only 21 now, and you guys have had, you've been touring with Little Mix, like along with loads of other things, having a song played on Love Island. It feels like a bit of a roller coaster. So when, the pandemic hit, was it a massive change of pace for you guys?
Yeah, no, I mean, it really was. I mean, for everyone, obviously, it was a bit of a halt on like momentum. But yeah, for us, it was like 2019 had been a crazy year. We traveled a lot and like we'd gotten to play loads of shows. And then suddenly it was just like we hit this wall and we went home for about 4 months, which was quite weird and we had to adjust. But
do you remember December 2020 or 2019? And it was, guys, 2020 is going to be a year. Yeah. It's going to be a year. Come on, let's go. And we got to do the tour and it was like, oh shit, yeah, this is our year. And then
we were pretty lucky that we did actually manage to fit our tour in right before lockdown hit, because we were I think some of our shows to go ahead before it all kind of hit the fan. So
wow, you must have been like performing like, oh, we don't know if this is going to be the last time for a while. But
honestly, it was the last show in London. It was. I remember us all talking about COVID and being like, do you reckon anyone here's got it? Do you reckon like? Because it was at that point, it was kind of like whether it was cool to do a show still, and it was kind of like, it was weird.
I remember that, like people would, when people were shutting down a bit and they were like, oh, there is a virus. People would be like, oh, come out, come clubbing when I was at uni. And you're like, am I allowed? Is this a thing? And then like think like fast forward a year later and everyone's like, don't come near me, just stay away. But saying you guys have been propelled quite quickly, were there any surprises for you? So I imagine wanting a career in the music industry and performing for a living has been a lifelong fantasy and a dream, but sometimes the reality doesn't quite match the fantasy. So did you guys have any surprises?
You know what? I think we kind of, Nathan obviously had been in a band before, and so he's kind of been like our Ryan and mine, like our tutor, I guess, throughout the whole thing. The puppet master, yes, pulling the strings. Yeah. So he's kind of, it's been good. It's good having you around for that.
Just that. Yeah,
well, as in he like briefed you. He was like, look, this is what to expect.
Nathan's been through a lot of the situations that we've kind of gone through kind of before with his old band, and that definitely does help. Nathan's got a bit more experience in that department.
We sat down and we had a pep talk before kind of when we were starting the band. No, I mean, you know, I guess it's like you say, kind of like nothing is exactly kind of how you imagine it when you're a kid and kind of younger, but it's fair to say that being in a band is probably like the most fun you can have.
It's the dream.
We're very, very lucky. It's living a life with your best mates, doing what you want to do. And, you know, there's hard parts.
When people say when people say, oh, it's like, it's intense and it's hard work, they're definitely right. That is like, it is full on 100%. You don't really stop. Once you start, you just go and go.
Yeah, you never really fuck off.
I mean, we kind of see that in a positive way because our favorite thing is music. So to do that 100%. Well, actually, do you know what? Sorry, I was about to say to do music 100% of the time is great. What's not great is having to do TikToks all the time when you're trying to write a song.
Yeah,
that was the part that we didn't see coming.
TikTok can be a bit of a downer, yeah.
Yeah, really? That's something I want to mention later on in the interview, but I feel like we should go into your song first. I want to talk about the lyrics from Pasta because you talk about pressure and, you know, how intense the music industry can be and social media. And the lyrics for Pasta resonate quite strongly with that pressure, but you sing it from a very female perspective. Now, is that you guys putting your own thoughts and feelings onto that kind of perspective, or have you been surrounded by women in your life that have suffered those pressures and you've just put it into a song? Where's that perspective coming from?
I think a lot of the perspective came from seeing what our fans talk about online. You know, we're quite interactive on Twitter with them, and you know, we talk to them most days, almost every day, and you know, you kind of see things just on your timeline of just, you know, people talking about maybe what they feel self-conscious about, and I think when we didn't release Pasta when we played it on tour, it hadn't come out yet, and the reaction from the fans was one of those, just like they were kind of, you know, quite kind of, I guess not blown away by it, but like they felt a certain
pretty
way,
emotional.
Yeah, it connected with them. So that took ages for me to get out. But it definitely connected with them on a level where they were able to just like kind of relate to it. And you know, we don't want people thinking as well that it's not something that we don't experience, because you know, feeling like you have to act and look a certain way online all the time, which is something that we obviously kind of feel is you kind of get the same pressure. And I think that was quite important in kind of getting that across in that song.
Yeah, and I think you're right. It does hit deep. Like, obviously, I've listened to the song quite a few times, and you're like, yeah, actually, I never thought about it, but it is that kind of, especially as a girl, you know, when everyone talks about going on a date and they're like, oh, what are you going to order? And you're like, well, it won't be pasta, and it's not going to be a burger. What's safe? What's safe to eat without looking like an absolute fool whilst you eat it?
A friend of ours said that a friend of ours was telling us a story about his going on holidays to Italy with his wife and her saying exactly that. And that's kind of where the kind of song started. And then we were able to think about like, well, you know, we've all got sisters and mums and loads of friends who were girls, you know, growing up and everything. So kind of, and then also the rest of the lyric, it's kind of not dissimilar from what we kind of feel. You know, we noticed that the way that our fans were talking online, it's kind of the same way that we feel about stuff. It's just maybe boys talk about it a little bit differently. Yeah. So being able to put it in a song and kind of round it up in a thing called Pasta was something that we just kind of felt was kind of interesting.
Yeah, it's brilliant. And it's like, I think it works so well is because it's got that full circle effect. You guys feel it, the fans feel it, people feel it, and it's just come together really nicely. And continuing on from, you know, the pressures, how do you guys deal with it? What's your like methods for either pushing through the pressure or handling it?
Do you know what I think really helps is just, I mean, I'm sure it's the same with you, but it's just having two mates who we kind of tell each other everything pretty much for the most part. So that for me is just, but basically if I have anything on, and I'll tell the boys, we'll have a laugh, then we'll kind of move on. You know, I feel like it really just helps. Like, I mean, whoever that is for you, having someone that you can tell pretty much everything to is so important.
Yeah, talking is really, really important. And so let's go on to like lockdown living. So what things have you learned in lockdown? What have you taught yourselves?
Well, the main one is when the first lockdown came along, we said, right, we can't go to studios anymore. We need to learn how to produce music ourselves. So we all downloaded Logic on our laptops, and we bought some equipment, and we were all doing it from individual homes from the start. And then we kind of just learned how to do it. And now we're far from pros, but we can record whatever we want and make it sound decent. So that's been the best thing, I think.
Yeah, that's amazing. Well, that's such a thing to be able to come out the end and go, we can produce our own songs as well. Not only do we write, not only do we sing, but we produce as well.
It is, it is amazing. Like, it's a bit of a hack, isn't it? It's crazy.
It just means we can get on our own. And when we came back in lockdown, in I think it was July or sometime, we all came back together to our place in London. We set up like a really makeshift studio. Like we made the desk out of like bits of wardrobe. So
nice. It was ridiculous. Actually.
Yeah, it was crazy.
In hindsight, we definitely should have just bought a desk,
which we've done now. We have done that now, so that's good.
Progress. See, progress.
Yeah. Despite all the bad things going on, like, I mean, I'm not sure we would have had the time otherwise to sit down and learn that thing. And it's like literally, we're gonna have that for life now. So it's been a bit.
Yeah. You guys have you've certainly utilized lockdown. I mean, you're doing Fizzy Fridays, YouTube series, you're doing TikToks. You guys are busy, to say the least. Like, what's a lesson that you've learned like through lockdown that you think will surpass lockdown? You think you're going to take with you for a very long time, or at least a lifetime?
We've definitely learned a lot in terms of, I guess, engaging with the fans online, and that there are things that you can do when you can't go and see people in person. There are things that you can do to really engage and get the most out of your fan base and give yourselves to them. I think our social game has got to glow up. So
you
guys
have
got a good social game, I have to say.
We actually kind of, for ages, for the longest time, we didn't understand TikTok. We couldn't, we just didn't know how to think of creative stuff that kind of would work. And we were always very silly on there. So now we actually feel like we found a bit of a lane, and we kind of know what TikTok is, and we're better at it now. So that's a good thing. Yeah. Also though, just like outside of music, I think one thing I've definitely learned during this is just to expect the unexpected a little bit more, because I definitely didn't see a pandemic coming along.
No, when you say that, do you mean like as in be more flexible in your approach to things, or just be prepared for anything?
I think so. Well, expect the unexpected. I mean, don't be surprised if something crazy happens and it kind of changes everything around you, and be prepared to roll with the punches.
Also learn there's not enough hours in the day. That's now a thing.
Yeah.
Have you got a lot of work? Have you put a lot of work on your plates?
It's funny because it's like, it always feels like, we can knock this out today. And then it's just, an hour goes by and it's suddenly 10 p.m, which is, it's just weird.
And it is another thing of like what time flies. I mean, we're doing music, we're making a song, we're getting so into it, and it's like, this is so much fun. And then it's like, you realize, oh shit, we just spent 3 hours on this demo. It's like, oh no. Our team so it's not like, we're not like stressed out of our heads. It's just, it's just.
Do you guys get completely lost in it then? When you're making the music, does it, like, everything else doesn't matter? It's just about the music and what's happening in that moment?
We've had a lot of times where we've just stayed up until like 4 a.m, and then we could just, our sleeping patterns are all ruined. Sleeping in quite late to make up. But
it's all for music. It's so worth it. 100%.
That is when the best stuff happens. The best ideas come along is when you don't mean to. You're going to get an early night, and the next minute it's 5 a.m, you're still in the studio. That's when the best stuff comes.
Yeah. You're on the train, you'll lose your idea or something. So.
Well, I mean, one of the things of this podcast is showcasing new music and really like shining a light on people that are trying to make it really, and what can be such a competitive industry. It's hard, and I think a lot of people feel like once you get somewhere, you have to constantly just keep going because the next moment you could be dropped. But before we talk a little bit about that, I thought we could go on to the next song, which is really personal to you, Alec. But this is a new artist that, again, we really want to showcase and pinpoint. So I'll let you do some of the talking for this. If you could talk a bit about Beren and the track that you're going to play, that'd be great.
Yeah, so I'm actually wearing Beren Olivia's merch right now, which you should go and buy.
Such a super fan.
I am a super fan. Yes, very comfy. Beren Olivia is a great new artist. She's had a lot of interest in London. And BBC introducing London recently, which is great. And she has just released her single, Read My Mind, which you should all go and stream, and you're about to listen to now.
Yep, and she's also had recognition from Molly King, hasn't she? The Queen of Pop.
Yeah, she doesn't need our help, I don't think.
No, not at all.
She's absolutely fine, and she deserves it. She's brilliant.
She does.
Yeah, well, let's play it now. So it's obviously clear that the McGarrys have got pop down to a T. Like, you guys know what pop sounds like. Did you guys have a really musical upbringing?
This is actually quite funny. So my sister and I were not raised on radio. So I just listened to whatever was in my dad's iPod. So that could be anything from Dave Matthews to, like, I don't know, something really jazz and just fusion, just like crazy drum beats, just like, you know.
I love when your dad's driving the car and he's like,
he's constantly
playing the drums.
My
on the
whole
wheel.
family used to like get really annoyed with my dad on car journeys because he just constantly tapped the wheel, like he just fidgets.
I love that.
It was I still had a very musical upbringing, and like a lot of the music I kind of listened to was stuff that I'd found myself. It's just you know, I joined a pop band and realized there was a lot more than to pop music than what I thought, and I kind of fell in love with it in doing that. So I mean, yeah, since joining, my music taste has just gone.
Yeah, but it's so great to have a fusion, isn't it? I think one of my pet hates is when people say, "Oh, what's your favorite genre of music?" And you're like, "Don't make me choose." Like, they're not you. How can you just be so dedicated to one genre? And there's always songs that like to switch between the two, and you're like, I couldn't possibly put it down. And I think pop is slowly becoming such a mixture of everything and everybody's influences coming in. I think that's what's making it so great, don't you?
Well, I think that's what pop has kind of in a way always been, that, you know. But I just think, I mean, I remember when I was a teenager and stuff, going in and out of phases of different kind of music, like indie and kind of all sorts of music, and kind of eventually kind of deciding that pop music was kind of the hardest music to write in a lot of ways, because you're trying to please the masses. And you're trying to do it in a way that kind of takes all those, like you're saying, all those kind of little bits from all sorts of music and put it in something that's going to be, you know, mainstream. And that's difficult. And that's always interested me, and I think you boys as well.
And it's so interesting to see what's in fashion, what people are doing. And it's like, at the moment, it's like what a lot of people were doing, like the 80s thing recently. And then like guitars are like leading everything now. I don't know. It's
for ages there was no guitars.
Guitars are back in pop music.
Literally 3 years ago, it was like there was no guitar on pop music on pop radio, and it just wasn't a thing. And now it's all back again. It's crazy.
Yeah, like you said, it's hard, isn't it? Because pop is by definition popular music, and you want to fit within that genre, I suppose, but then you don't want to sound like everybody else. That's so hard, isn't it? Just to get that differentiation and stand out, because I think pop is obviously one of the most crowded genres, I'd say. So you've really got to fight for a space in that. Keeping on the theme of new artists, I wanted to get your guys' advice for anybody that's trying to either make it in this industry, is thinking about starting a band. Like, what are your like golden rules? What would your advice be?
So we say this to a lot of people who ask us maybe on Twitter, but we just say like, make sure you are constantly posting yourself on every social media platform you can get your hands on. Like, it's how the three of us met, and you know, we wouldn't be here now without it. So,
or if you're not as into posting your stuff everywhere, it's sending it to lots of people.
Yeah,
you know, if you send it to people, and like 100 important people, DJs, whatever, and one of them might see it and take interest. You know what I mean?
Don't be afraid of being annoying. I think it's a good thing.
Yeah.
You know, like,
That's so true, though, because when you're starting, I think it can be quite daunting, can't it? Because you're like, oh God, it's just me playing to my 3 followers, and they're all going to be like, what are you doing? But I think it's having that confidence, isn't it, and that belief in yourself.
I couldn't record myself, and I still don't love putting a phone camera down and recording myself singing by myself. I like doing it with these boys.
Yeah.
But by myself. I still don't like doing that, and that's why I had one video on YouTube, and it was professionally filmed by someone else, and I was like, oh, well, that's okay, right?
It is. It's like if you put a different name to it and you go, yeah, well, this is someone professional doing it, then it gives you that elevation. But for a lot of people, that's not a reality, is it? You do just have to start playing in your bedroom.
If I didn't have a video up, though, I just wouldn't have met these guys. So
yeah. That one video is the one that's on. So
that's so true. Yeah. Yeah. And talking about, you know, being out on social media and putting out on all platforms, I think a lot of people can find that quite exhausting, especially if I was reading this thing the other day that's like, if you put yourself out on social media constantly, but you're trying to be something that you're not, or you're trying to, I don't know, you see that you guys are doing the name videos and you're like, oh yeah, okay, I'm going to start doing that too. But that's not 100% you. You'll fatigue really quickly because it's not authentic to you. And there's something about sticking in your lane, I suppose, not in a mean way, as in like working out what your lane is and then doing that well. Do you think it matters if that's not TikTok? If people are like, TikTok's not my bag, I'm not finding my people on there. Do you think that's all right? Or do you think people need to be putting themselves out on every platform?
You know what, I guess it's kind of like, I guess it's case by case, but you know, we felt like that for a long time as well, where we were just like, TikTok is not working for us. Like we just shouldn't, like what we're trying to do. And like you said, we're trying all these different lanes and
the
none
trends,
of them were
like
working.
the dancing stuff. We're like, do we have to be dancing?
Yeah,
Doing that.
We hated it as well. We're not dancing.
The answer was no.
Yeah.
Ryan's the closest we have to a dancer.
And I'm awful, so that says a lot.
But we, you know, we stuck with it. And like after a year and a bit, we found like a lane. And I guess, you know, that is a long time, but yeah, I don't know. I guess it is case by case.
Well, if you're a musician, TikTok is undeniably the most powerful way of getting your music heard now at the moment. For like someone who maybe even doesn't have any support or anything like that, for just to write a song, put it on TikTok, you know, the world's your oyster, isn't it?
But I say don't be afraid to try things, you know, like we kind of, I guess we have a bit of a lane now on TikTok, but like, I mean, what does that mean?
Sure,
we're still doing viral. We're still doing like trends. We're still jumping on things, and we're starting like new series all the time. And it's like, if that takes off, then we'll probably say goodbye name songs and we'll do something else. You know, I think the main thing is if it feels like it's every time you watch it, it feels like that's new rules and that's coming from them. Then I think that's the main thing. Absolutely.
And one common question that you guys kept coming through was, how do you guys stay motivated? And I think that's a really important question, especially in lockdown when people are struggling to find that motivation.
I think it's staying inspired. I think is the main thing. You know, if you're doing something every day, like kind of like, you know, when we get up in the morning, we're doing the same thing that we are to the end of the day, and we do that every day. And I think it's just, at least for me anyway, it's about kind of like finding stuff that keeps you excited about it.
Yeah.
And that can come from other artists, you know, like watching music videos or listening to music that you love and being like, oh yeah, that's why I love this. That's what I'm trying to do.
I'm guessing that's Justin Bieber for you guys, judging by your social media.
At the moment, it's Bieber. I mean, for us, a lot of people would hate this, but we look at Bieber and we say, well, we want to be bigger than Bieber. Do you know what I mean? We want to be as
why
big
not?
As Bieber.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, I know a lot of people would hate that like level, but what keeps us motivated is us wanting to be the biggest, wanting to be the best. You know,
that leads me on really nicely actually, because I was like, let's do some manifesting. So, what is New Rule's goal? Where do you want to be? Where do you see yourselves? What's going to happen if we manifest it now? It's going to come true. So you're saying bigger than Bieber?
Bigger than God.
Bigger than God.
More famous than God.
More famous than God. Wow, you're setting the bar quite high there.
All right, we're manifesting, right? Biggest band in the world, right? And then
we had candles.
And then we take a candle. Then we take a little.
Let's wave some sage.
Like a candle, right? Then we take a little break, okay? Not a little break. We take we write the album of all albums,
take a year.
and then we win a Grammy.
Yeah,
that's how it goes.
Grammy. Let's go with that. 100%.
I do think it's just, what it comes down to is, you know, we love writing music and we love playing to people who like hearing it. So, you know, our be in a position where we can continue to travel to amazing places and go and play our songs to new people who haven't heard it before, and do the biggest venues we can get to, we're very passionate about what we do, and we, like anyone who's passionate about something, we want to be the best at it.
No, you're right. I mean, world tour after world tour over Grammy.
World domination.
World domination.
Yeah.
But I have to say, as an outsider, your passion comes across so strongly. So I think, from somebody that's just consumed your music, I think you are definitely doing what you set out to achieve. And I genuinely, I listen to a lot of music. I'm really immersed in the music world. And I genuinely think with you guys, it's not a question of if, but it's just a question of when. And I think if you just keep doing everything you're doing, I mean, that Grammy is coming.
Thank you so much.
Really appreciate that.
No worries. So we're rounding up the interview now. We're coming towards the end, but there is obviously one question that is on everybody's mind, and that is new music. Have you got any new music coming our way?
We do. We've got in the bag that we're looking forward to releasing. Just tidying it up and continuing to write loads while we can, I guess, before the world opens up and we're back on the road. So.
Oh, that's so exciting. And of course, we have to mention the tour, which was announced yesterday. So Give me all the details on that. Tell people where they can go, where they can get tickets, what's happening. Give us all the information.
We're playing Cardiff, London, Birmingham, Leeds, Dublin, Manchester in November. And you can get tickets on newrulesband.com. Pretty simple.
Pretty simple.
And it's going to be amazing. Our last tour was our favorite thing ever.
How are you feeling about getting out there again? Are you nervous, or are you just bring me the stage?
Just excited, yeah.
I mean, if we had tomorrow, it would be awful because we haven't picked up our instrument band set for a little while. But we will practice, and it will be brilliant. We just, we're dying to get out on stage.
Lots of new songs as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
To play.
Yes. I wish you all the luck with it. I really do. And you guys have got one more song to introduce. And before you do that, I'll let people know that they can follow you on Instagram at New Rules and get you on TikTok at New Rules Band, isn't it? And make sure that you follow this podcast. We've got more interviews coming. And you guys have just been incredible. And it's been so nice to talk to you. So we're going to end on your feel-good song and hopefully leave everybody feeling exactly the same. So again, if you could introduce your final song of the podcast, that would be amazing.
Yes, this song is called Following the Sun, and it is by our producer friends who go by the alias, I think it's Super High. So
thank you so much, guys.
It's very summery.